I go to the guy I was working with, and I tell him about FFL,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, it's fake." And I'm
It's
like,
fake.
"What do you mean it's fake?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's not true. They can't pay those levels of commission. That's not true."
Mm.
And I was like, at the time I was 20 years old, naive.
Yeah.
I believed him.
Really?
And so I'm like, well, I figured he had my best interest
Yeah,
at
yeah.
heart, and okay, whatever. So I just didn't think about it again. But I always kept it in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Like, I knew there was something there, but because of what he told me,
You believe them.
I believed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to True Talk. I'm my man Marco Trujillo with me today. Did I say that right, Marco?
Yeah, you did.
All right. And you would, if I got it wrong, you would tell me
I
in front
would
of
tell
everyone.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some people don't, you know. My son actually has been called the wrong name like his whole not his whole childhood, since like middle school on.
Yeah.
His name's Giovanni, and they call him Gio in school. He never corrected him, so that's his name for some reason. So,
Yeah.
anyway, it's nothing to do with this. But thanks for joining us. We want to talk about, kind of your background, what brought you here, and some stuff. We always kind of do a little pre-interview here and hear about like trials and tribulations people have gone through. And you had like a lot of crap like the past week, so you had some fresh stuff for us. So that's
Yeah.
cool. I don't know if you planned that, but
I did not.
you did not. How long you been with us now, Margo?
3 years.
3 years. And you were selling insurance prior to this, right?
Yeah.
How long were you in insurance before you found us?
I got licensed in January of 2016.
Okay.
And I left in September 2020. So however long that is.
Okay, so over 4 years, roughly.
Something around there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before insurance, were you in sales, or what else did you do?
No, I was a car wash guy. I was in car
Really?
detailing. Yeah,
Okay.
I worked the car detail
Yeah.
part-time while I was going to school.
Yeah.
I was going to university full-time I was studying business. They say when you don't really know what you want to do,
Yeah.
you study business. That
Oh,
was
so you didn't know what you wanted to do.
Yeah, that was definitely me.
Yeah.
So no sales experience, although what really motivated me to get into some sort of like sales was at the car dealership. I seen this guy. He had like a record-breaking month. He broke the record. He sold like a lot of cars.
Yeah.
And he made like an amount of money that I made all year working part-time.
Really?
And so I was like, yeah, I got to stop washing them. Maybe I should sell them.
Got it.
But they didn't hire me.
Oh, but you wanted to sell cars.
Yeah.
Did you sell cars anywhere or no?
No, they didn't hire me.
Why?
They said I was too young.
Really? How old were you?
I had just turned 19.
Okay.
So I guess I had a bad experience with young people or something. But
Got it.
they didn't. Later, they tried to get me back. But
Really?
Yeah. But
After you got insurance?
Yeah.
Oh, because they saw what you were doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you went to college for business.
Mm-hmm.
When you were studying business, did you have a plan for what you were going to do after school or no?
I had zero idea.
Zero.
No idea.
Yeah. Would you go to college because you wanted to, or your parents kind of
You know
wanted
what?
you to?
I had an older brother who was like really smart.
Yeah.
Well, he's still there, right?
Is he
And-
still really smart?
Yeah, he is. And he went to Fresno State,
Yeah.
and he had like the 4.0 GPA student,
Yeah.
and I was not that.
No.
I was like half of that maybe. and so I kind of felt like I had to like live up
Got it.
to that, and I applied to all these schools, and I was the local university was the only one that accepted
Really?
me. So I just went, and I didn't know what to pick. So business sounded cool, and I chose
Got
that.
it. You learn anything there?
I read this one book that had nothing to do. Well, I guess maybe it did. It was called Mindset. The book
Okay.
called Mindset, and it was like a self-development book.
Yeah.
And my English teacher gave it to me, and
That's random.
I read it,
Yeah.
and that's the one thing that I remember from college.
So that was worth it for that.
Yes, yeah.
Did you finish or
No,
no? Okay.
I got an insurance. They told me I could do well here. That's
Yeah.
all I needed to hear. And I
Got it.
dropped
How'd you
out.
find insurance?
So, I was like going to school,
Yeah.
and I was working at the car dealership, and I had just been turned down from the car sales,
Yeah.
and I was kind of like bummed out, I was looking for a way to quit school, but I needed
Okay.
a good reason to quit
Yeah.
because it just wasn't my thing, And so what ended up happening was I have this uncle who is in real estate, and he does well.
Mm.
And so I reached out to him because then I'm like, well, maybe I'll do that.
Yeah.
And then he told my mom that I shouldn't do that, that I should stay in school because it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to make a lot of money in the beginning, and I'm probably just going to end up quitting, so just stay in school.
Got
So
it.
I got rejected from that.
Damn.
And then, yeah, and then what ends up happening is my cousin used to be a barber. He's a cop now.
Okay.
And he was cutting Tony Rojas's hair.
Yeah.
Tony Rojas was already in the industry at a different
Okay.
company, and he asked my cousin who he knew that wanted to do something, and my
Yeah.
cousin knew that I wanted to do something, so he gave him my number, and Tony gave it to his, I guess, upline broker,
Okay.
mentor, whatever, and he called me, and I didn't answer the phone because it was a random number
Yeah.
from LA, and I'm from Bakersfield. I don't pick up random numbers, especially now, maybe
Especially back
but
then, yeah.
especially back then. And that number texted me, and it said, "Marco, opportunity is knocking at your door. Please give me a call back." I thought it was weird at first.
Yeah. What'd you think? It was like a scam or something?
You know, at first,
Yeah.
but I had been praying for a while for something different. Like I
Yeah.
was already in a space where, like, dude, I need something. Everybody keeps rejecting me,
Yeah.
so I couldn't be broke and skeptical, Mike.
Yeah.
So that,
It's a bad combination.
yeah,
right?
so that's kind of like what made me call back. Tells me he's got an office and that there's an event going on. Show up, and
Yeah.
there was like a opportunity meeting. Showed up, signed up. They had a convention the very next day.
Oh wow.
So they were telling me about it's gonna be in Vegas, this and that.
Yeah.
I'm 19, never been to Vegas. Sounds like
And
a
where are you
party.
at the time? L.A. or?
I'm
where
in
were you?
Bakersfield.
Bakersfield. Okay.
And Mike, I thought it was like Vegas to me. I thought it was party time, you
Yeah.
know. So I'm like, Vegas, when? Let's go, you know. And they're like, tomorrow. I'm like, I got work, I got school, like I can't.
Yeah.
Right away, they were like, well, if you want to be successful, you're gonna make it. And I was just at a point, Mike, where like I had no other choice really.
Yeah.
Insurance was really the only. These people are willing to give me a shot, so I'm gonna just go with it. So I ended up. Long story short, I ended up going to that convention
Yeah.
and got sold out to the insurance business about you can have, you know, you can accomplish your goals
Yeah,
through this
yeah.
industry.
Wow.
That's what
And you were
happened.
working you were still detailing cars at this time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you quit that?
I didn't. I
Yeah.
kept my job for like 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah. I was minimum wage part-time on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Got it,
open
got
to
it.
close.
Yeah.
Wasn't making much.
What was it about the event? Like, you know, obviously different company, but still event, top producers, whole deal. Was that what kind of sold you on the industry, or were you sold before you went?
You know, Mike, I had no idea. I barely even realized that it was life insurance at the at the opportunity meeting.
Yeah.
I just knew they would hire me.
Got it.
I didn't really
You
understand
was
it.
tired of being rejected.
Yeah, pretty much, you know. And I ended up going to the convention, and then I learned more about kind of what insurance does for people.
Yeah.
There, the stories, and then like the carriers and all that. And so I got sold out to the industry kind of right there too.
Got it.
But I seen this guy who was like 20 something years old, and he was like the youngest or whatever title over there.
Mhm.
And I heard his story, and I thought my story was like I don't know why I felt like my story was bad, but
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this guy, he had a worse GPA than me, and he's doing pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe I could do this. That was really it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. I remember my first event. It was a different company, but very similar story. I saw Andrew Taylor, who's a few years younger than me, and same deal. He's being paraded up there. He's making, you know, selling X amount. He's got a team, and I'm like, holy shit, that kid's doing it? Like, no offense, but like this kid from California is doing it. Like, why can't I do it?
Right.
You know, that's why it's, you know, put whatever industry in is get around the heat, right?
Yes, sir.
So you got licensed, was it right after that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
within a week. They booked my exam. They didn't even tell me. They just
Oh, they did it
booked
for you?
Yeah, they booked it. They were
Yeah.
like, hey, your test is this day. And I'm like, I haven't even got my courses. And they're like, well, it's a good time to
Get your
start.
ass moving.
Yeah. And thank God. I don't know how, Mike, but I passed. And
Yeah.
I've never needed to take it ever again.
Got it. And now, did you hang on? You were still detailing cars on the weekends while you were getting going, or
Yeah.
when did you leave that?
Yeah, I was detailing cars for about 3 months.
Yeah.
I would, Monday, because immediately coming back from that event, I dropped out of school. That was like the first thing I
Yeah.
did. And I'm not saying for anybody to do that, but that was just
Hey,
what
it worked for you, right?
Yeah, that's what I
What'd
did.
your parents say?
You know, my dad has his own business. He has his own mechanic shop.
Okay.
So growing up, he never really emphasized school to me.
Okay.
He always emphasized two things: learning Spanish, because I didn't want to speak Spanish when I was younger.
Oh, so you didn't know Spanish as a kid? You
I
learned.
did, but I would get mad at my dad
Yeah.
for trying to teach me it. I'm like, this is the United States. There's no point.
You get
Like,
mad.
and during summer, he would give us these during summer break. You
Yeah.
know, he would give us Spanish homework
Oh, damn.
to complete, and I thought it was so pointless. And he says, one day you're gonna thank me because you're gonna be able to if you have a business, you'll be able to speak to people in two different languages.
Absolutely.
Now I'm like, hey, you were right, you
Yeah.
know, but yeah,
But during the summer, doing Spanish homework was not your favorite thing to do.
not at all.
No.
Not at all.
What was it like hitting the phone? Like, was this other company lead based, or how did you?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't lead based, but you still had to make phone calls
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I was terrified, Mike.
Really?
Terrified. And
What scared you about it?
I just had never done it.
Yeah.
I sounded robotical. Even
Yeah.
I remember over there was like, friends and family, the whole
Okay.
the whole
So
deal.
referral based, or whatever.
Yes, friends and family referral based.
Yeah.
Basically, anybody that you can get.
Yeah.
That's really what it was. And so even calling people that you know, you would think that maybe it's an easier conversation. It wasn't for me.
Right.
It wasn't for me at all. It was terrifying, actually.
Yeah.
But just hearing other people do it around, I think going to the office and being around other people and seeing them do it and then them getting results from it was the only thing that I could hold on to at that moment, that I'm
Got
like,
it.
hey, if I just keep doing it, I'll have what they have.
Yeah. So you kind of looked at, hey, if these guys can figure it out, then why can't I figure it out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which again, I mean, the thing about this business, though, it's not for everyone. I mean, you've been in insurance, since 2016. You've seen a lot of people come and go.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't make it, right?
Mhm.
But it's kind of like it's what you want to focus on. You want to focus on them, or you want to focus on the few that did, and like, shit, why can't I do that?
Right.
So you were at this company up until 2020, right?
Mhm.
But I read that you saw a podcast with Frank Euphemia back in 2017. So you were about a year in at the other company. How'd you come across Frank?
I was on YouTube looking up, I don't know how or what, but I was on YouTube and I was going through it at the other company. Like, I was not where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I was like newly promoted. I had done all these things. Like people in the company thought I was like,
You had all the accolades.
yeah, I had all the accolades,
Yeah.
but I had no money. And I was like, man, there's got to be something different out there, or maybe I'm doing something wrong. So I try to like get some training on insurance and stuff. And I just came across a mortgage protection Frank Euphemia video,
Yeah.
and I watched it, and he talked about in back of the lead card, he does this and he does that. And I'm like, what's a lead card? What's a leads? Family First Life. So I went down this rabbit hole, right? And I saw all these great things. Started watching the old school Shawn Mike videos.
Yeah.
Like, I think that jersey that's out it was in, like, he was around that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I started watching him, and I'm like, sold out on this. I go to the guy I was working with, and I tell him about FFL,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, it's fake." And I'm like,
fake.
"What do you mean it's fake?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's not true. They can't pay those levels of commission. That's not true." And I was like, at the time I was 20 years old, naive,
Yeah.
believed him.
Really.
And so I'm like, well, I figured he had my best interest
Yeah,
at
yeah.
heart, and okay, whatever. So I just didn't think about it again, but I always kept it in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Like, I knew there was something there, but because of what he told me,
You believe him.
I believed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you stayed there for another few years, almost 3 years, right?
Mhm.
I guess, what did you learn there? What's the biggest thing you learned?
I think the biggest thing that I learned a lot of things about people in terms of like how this business is a people business, and really I learned a lot of things about what not to do as well. Like,
Yeah.
for example, when I first started, I would sell a policy and I would never call the client because I was
Yeah.
scared that they were gonna
Gonna
cancel.
Yeah.
Like, I learned a lot of like the early mistakes I guess agents make. Hopefully not everybody makes that, but I definitely made all the mistakes in the world.
Right.
And I learned stuff like that. I learned that if you don't take care of your people, somebody else will. I learned that there too.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
You mean like your clients?
Well, both
And your
clients
agents.
and your agents,
Mhm.
right? Because I felt like over here they take care of you much more than other places.
Absolutely.
So you could try and tell your agents all these different things, but if you don't take care of them the way you should, you're gonna lose them.
Right, right.
I
Well, I
don't.
mean, it had you kind of looking elsewhere before you even ready to leave. It's funny that you say that. We had Trey Honeycutt here recently, and check out his True Talk if you haven't. But he was talking about working at a different company and being trained by our conference calls. This is
Yep.
way before we had videos, back in like 2014.
Yeah.
But he found our conference call number online, and he was calling in every Friday to get the sales training because where he was, they didn't have sales training.
Yeah.
So he was using our training to sell over there. Then finally joined us.
Yeah.
So it
I was
happens.
doing that too.
Yeah.
In 2020,
Yeah.
I went down the rabbit hole again.
Really?
Yeah.
What brought you back down the rabbit hole? Were you struggling over there? or-
Yeah, I was at a. You know what really happened was I remember it was that 2020 was a crazy year. Everything was shut down, right?
Yep.
So nobody would show up to the office, like nobody. So it was just me and like 2 or 3 other people. This is at the old company,
Yeah.
and all we had time to do was think and reevaluate
Yeah.
things. And we started talking, and my buddy, he starts sending me podcasts of FFL.
Okay.
And I'm like,
It's not the same guy who told you it was fake, is it?
nah.
No, okay.
No. I wish. That would have been
All right,
great.
different one.
Yeah, no, this is another guy.
Yeah.
And he ends up sending me podcasts, and it's Josh and Alondra. And I
Okay.
knew Josh and Alondra
Oh, okay.
because they were at the other company too for a little bit.
Got it.
And
Then they left.
I knew them. Yeah, I
Yeah.
knew them. And he started sending me videos of them helping over 20 families and all these
Yeah.
things. And I'm like, dude, why are you showing me this? I already told you about this company. I'm the one that told you about this, you know? And he's like, bro, look, they're killing it. Like what do you think? And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you want to go over there or what? And then, long story short, he backs out. I didn't. I
Yeah.
come down the rabbit hole, and I just came
Got it.
over
So did
here.
you reach out to them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Through what? Just like a message to respond? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew? Did they know who you were?
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. And what was that like? I guess what was that transition? How long did it take from the time you reached out to them to you decided to make that move?
I was ready to switch. Like
Yeah.
I had already basically made my decision that I was gonna switch,
Got it.
and then it was basically like, man, I'm just gonna reach out to Josh and Alondra because I know them,
Mm-hmm.
and I can learn from them. They're doing things that I like.
Yeah.
They're producing at a high level. I can definitely learn from them, and so I reached out to them, and that was really it.
Got it. In 2020 at your old company, were you guys still going out? Were you doing telesales? What was the sales?
Everything was pushing towards Zoom.
Yeah. Okay.
Everything was pushing towards Zoom for sure, but a lot of it was still in person.
Yeah.
But it was also a big transition going towards Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And then when you started with us, did you stay on Zoom or did you go back and?
I went in the field.
Yeah.
I realized here there wasn't no like big fear of
No.
going in the homes.
Right. Well, we were deemed essential by the in almost every state. There's a couple states where we weren't, So we obviously wanted to do everything compliant, but we were deemed essential workers because insurance was an essential service. And when you're sitting with like right now, we're more than 6 feet apart, So
Right,
we
right.
did everything that we were told we were supposed to do or whatnot. So you went back out in the field. How was it like calling on leads? Because you didn't call on leads prior to
No.
2020, right?
No.
What was that like the first time?
Oh man, it was like a night and day switch.
Yeah.
Sorry about
It's all right. It's your client, so they want insurance.
that. And what was huge for me was just calling people. I had no idea that was even a thing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? For so many years, that. Also, too, Mike, you got to keep in mind, at the other company, they bashed it. They said that they would talk down on it. They said it
on
wouldn't
leads.
work.
Really?
So I had this misconception
Yeah.
that it wasn't like what people would say it was.
Yeah.
So when I remember getting my first batch of leads, and in my first week dialing them up and then telling them, going through the script, and they tell you, yes, I did fill that out. I'm looking for this kind of coverage and
Yeah.
this and that. And I'm like, dude, I did the script, everything, this thing works. And I remember after my first week, my first week from my first batch coming over, I ended up doing like 5 families.
Yeah.
And that was enough for me to be like,
Wow.
I'm not even that good at this thing, and this thing works. Like,
Yeah.
and it was night and day. It blew my mind. I knew that we had something here that anybody could do, because all I did was just read a script
Yeah.
and purchase a batch of leads that anybody can do.
Right. Well, if they're willing to put in the work and
Well,
the
well,
mind have the right mindset.
Right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely part.
So that first week out, helped 5 families,
Mhm.
right? What was it like going in a home at that point? Because it's a different sale, right? You're sitting, if I'm a referral base, like you said, it's someone you know, it's completely different sale, completely different appointment. But meeting with these clients that actually filled something out, what were some of the biggest things that were kind of like aha moments for you when you first started going in the home?
The biggest thing, Mike, is they actually were interested in insurance. At the other place, you're running what's called like training appointments.
Yeah.
So have you heard, like,
Yeah.
So
Is that like when your upline goes with you or
yes,
what? Yeah.
yes. So it's the new agent, you're going with their friends and family, and it's a training appointment so that they can get experience on how to give a presentation,
Mhm.
so that when they're certified, they can give presentations.
Yep.
So the people that are participating in these appointments, they're not necessarily looking to buy insurance or get some coverage.
Got it.
You kind of have to, like, almost like a bait and switch
Yeah.
type of deal, where you kind of get them interested.
Right.
So from coming over here, when you run your appointment, from the moment you walk through that door, like, they know why you're there.
Mhm.
And as long as you do your job for the most part, you're going to be able to help that family
Right.
out.
It's funny. It's all about perspective, because you have a different perspective because you live that life of referrals, warm market sales. These trainer appointments, these fake appointments. Right. Let me show you my sales presentation to let me know what you think of it. But
Right.
really, I'm trying to sell you the whole
Right,
time. Right.
right.
Which is a lot of sales, industries do.
Yeah.
So you have that perspective. So then when you meet with the clients off of leads, it's like, oh my God, this is so simple.
Mm-hmm.
But then I have people that get started that have never been in sales. They get the leads and they go, these people aren't interested. They think it's the leads, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think you know enough about this industry, this business, to know that if you're not having that result that you want, it's you, not the lead.
Absolutely. There's too many people, Mike, that are winning and accomplishing their goals,
Yeah,
and they're no better, no different than anybody else.
right.
They might just know a couple words that you don't. They're a little bit more confident. They've just been through it a little bit
Mhm.
more, and that's why they're able to hit the goals that they hit. But it doesn't mean that just because right now you don't feel like you can do that doesn't mean you won't be able to down the road.
Right.
And I think people just give up on themselves too soon
Yeah,
to figure it out.
right. Did you always have such a positive mindset, or is that something you developed here or at the other company? Where'd that come from?
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I kind of came across like the self-development space
Yeah.
when I was like 16, 17. It
Really?
all started. Yeah, it kind of all started from watching like Floyd Mayweather.
Okay.
His like when he, you know how when they're gonna fight, they have their I don't know what it's called, like, but it's like the road to the fight.
Yeah, yeah.
And this dude was always
Oh, like the HBO shows?
Yeah,
Yes, I
yeah,
remember that.
yeah.
Yep.
So this dude was always like working hard, training, talking about like sacrifice, how he doesn't drink alcohol, he doesn't do these things, and he works out all the time. And I think going to the gym and watching stuff like that
Yeah.
kind of like sparked that. And then from just, social media, you'll find a lot of
Yeah.
self-development stuff. Watching this, like Andy Frisella, I'm sure you know who that is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I found him very early on, and just listening to his stuff kind of translated, started reading books at the other company, and
Yeah.
I think all of that, never missing a convention, no matter what company you're, like all those, I don't know if you've ever heard this, they say like you're a product of the people you hang around
Absolutely.
with, the meetings you attend, the things you listen to. So I just always try to be around positive stuff, and I guess it kind of rubbed off.
Yeah. A guy told me when I first got in insurance, he said, take the, forget the number he used, the 5 people you spend the most time with, average their income, and that's yours. It's like, oh, shit, I got to start spending time with these people. And spend time with people that are up here, because it's
Yeah.
like, it's all about association.
Right.
So you've never missed a conference with us. You just went to this past one, right? How was that? What was the biggest thing? What was your biggest takeaway from this past convention?
Man, there's a lot, but I could tell you this: the momentum this company has right now, is like I've never seen it before. I've never experienced well, we're like just the feeling that we have right now as a
Yeah.
company. I don't think since I've been here, I've never felt it like that. In the beginning, it was kind of like this,
Right.
like when I started, but where it's at right now, I think there's a lot of unity. There's a lot of everybody's on the same page, a lot of
Yeah.
alignment. It's really exciting times, and just seeing all these new people winning and accomplishing their goals, man, I'm just super excited to participate and help the company in any way we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I see a note here that says you've grown into the type of person that can handle bad things happening, but just a few years ago, they would have been a struggle for you. Right. So you had some stuff this past about a week ago, right? Grandfather passed. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Your dad's business got broken into.
Mm-hmm.
Legit. And he runs a mechanic shop.
Yeah, they stole 2 cars.
Stole 2 cars.
Stole 2 cars. The police got them back.
Yeah.
They stole
Young
2
kids or
Yep.
yeah.
Young kids on drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
And they stole 2 cars. Did a bunch of damage and stuff.
Yeah.
Messed up his fan. Broke the fence. They ran it over and
Yeah.
stuff. Like all crazy,
And
right?
then you were sick. You had bronchitis, and then your girlfriend told her car all within the same week.
Mm-hmm.
So, if this would have happened a few years ago, what would your head have been like coming out of that?
So, I had like when all of this was happening, I would
Yeah.
have like a moment like where I'm just like, WTF? Like what is going on, right?
Yeah.
Like what is happening here? Like, but I snap out of it so fast, and I call on people that I know will give me good advice.
Yeah.
A lot of people who are faith-based Christians.
Yeah.
They know the word of God. Kind of like to call on them and let them know, like, hey, man, like, this is a situation. Like, what advice would you give me? And hearing them out, hearing what they have to say really puts things, like, that really helps me. So it's not like I can just do it all myself.
Yeah.
But knowing that, man, I need to seek some counsel right now because, like, it's just kind of too much for me right now.
Right.
And then after how I feel after seeking counsel, it allows me to look at the situation in a way better perspective that serves me versus just thinking, oh, man, why is all this happening to me? What's going on? It's like, no, this is probably happening because there's greater things that we're destined for this year. And you're kind of crazy to think that nothing's going to get in your way when you're trying to do some big things. So looking at it like that helps me. But it wasn't always that way for sure.
No. Well, that's awesome. I mean, it's huge to know, like, I'm in this spot and I need to lean on someone else. I need to reach out to someone for some whatever, emotional, mental support. So what was it that you've gone through that has kind of put you in that spot now? Because you said a few years ago it wouldn't have been that way. Why is it like this now?
I think there's so many times that I didn't react that way, Mike, where it was like things that should have only took me a little bit of a short time to get over. It took me a while to get over, and it was because I think, Mike, for a long time, especially like as I don't know if it's just a man thing to do or a Hispanic Mexican thing, right? But like we try to do everything ourselves, solve everything ourselves. I don't want to talk to nobody about my problems.
Right, I got this. Yeah.
Yeah, I got this. And just going through tough times, whether it was in business or outside of in life, trying to deal with it myself just made the problem last a lot longer than it should have. And there's been plenty of times where it almost like takes you out of business. At least it takes me out of business, especially early on when you're trying to figure things out.
Right.
And knowing that, hey, man, it's okay to reach out to other people and seek some counsel.
Yeah.
Just I had to really go through it in other situations, whether it was financially, whether it was like something happens in the family and you got to use up all the money that you have and or like something in the family, another issue in the family's going on in personal life, and you just let it consume you.
Right.
So you're not productive in your business, so you don't get results that will help you solve that problem.
Right.
It's like you self-sabotage, right?
Yep.
And just being self-aware that, hey, this happened. I'm not going to self-sabotage, and I'm not going to crawl into a ball and just hide.
Right.
Like, I'm going to figure it out and overcome it. And really, that's...
Yeah, because life's going to happen regardless. And I think that's one of the biggest difference between, like, running a business and having a job, right? Like, You can have a job and have your life be a wreck, and the 40 hours you're at your job, you keep it away. Most people,
Yeah.
but your business, it's different because you are your own boss. There's no one you report to. So it's easier to go, oh, I got this shit going on at home. I can't really dial today. I was going to run these appointments, but my mom is sick. Like, it's easier to allow those things to seep in. And to your point, you let them in little by little. Next thing you know, it's taken over your whole business life. I mean, I'm sure you've seen people kind of work themselves out of this business because they couldn't control their personal life.
Absolutely. I think that is the biggest reason why people don't make it.
Yeah.
It's not because of the mechanical things that they have to do in the business or the steps of the business. It's the things that happen to them outside in life that they can't really control for the most part that I've seen, that they let affect them. And that's where the going to the convention, plugging into the trainings, listening to the audios, listening to as much as you really can, because that's what's going to keep you grounded and realize, like, hey, dude,
Yeah.
Keep the main thing, or else you're going to have to find a new main thing.
Absolutely.
So,
Now, this past week, would you say this was at one of the say hardest weeks of your life, like with all that stuff happening at once?
For sure.
Yeah. And how does it feel now, though?
I feel like I feel proud. Honestly, I feel proud, and I feel like, especially like with the whole grandfather thing, I feel like he was like a man's man. I never seen him cry. I never seen when his daughter passed, he didn't cry. When his brothers or sisters died, he never cried. When my grandma, like, stuff happened to her, he never cried. And well, I did cry when he passed, but what I think he would be proud of how I handled the situation of not like crawling into a ball and becoming a victim, but being like, hey man, even though this happened, we're still gonna go out there and do what we need to do because it's got to get done.
Absolutely. Yeah. Did that help while going through it, like thinking, I wonder what or what he would expect me to do? Yeah, that's huge. Well, that's awesome, dude. Not that it happened, but awesome that you're able to work through that. It's like when I hear you talk about that, I think about David Goggins, right? We had him at the past event.
Yeah.
Great speaker, but he says in a lot of places, at least one of his books, where one of the reasons why he works so hard at his mental toughness is he wants to be prepared for that night, 3 o'clock in the morning when he gets a phone call and his mom passed or something like that. So he can not break down, so he can not, like you said, curl up in the fetal position. Not that he's not going to be sad and grieve, but he wants to be strong when shit like that happens. And
right.
That's why we do all that work, reading the books, going to the conferences, pushing through, because you're going to have weeks like that.
Yep.
And it's like, how old are you?
27.
27. So that's your worst week right now. There's going to be other shit that happens. It's life.
For sure.
But because you've gone through that, and the next time something like that happens, it's going to be easier to get through. Right. I mean, it ain't going to affect you, but it's like we go through shit, and that's what makes us who we are.
Right.
And like you said, you should feel proud that you were able to work through that, because not everybody would. Like I know you said earlier, anyone can. I don't think anyone can. I really don't. Right. Not everyone would have made it through that week the same way you did.
Right.
It's
like that saying, anybody can, most won't.
Exactly. I love that. We named the podcast that. Anyone can, most won't. That's awesome, though. Have you had any death claims since you? Yeah. Is there one that stands out as like most impactful or really changed the way you looked at this?
Well,
or
I think this husband and wife situation where she was super healthy.
Yeah.
No meds, no conditions. One of those sweet ladies that still exercises and just you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
And then the husband, he was like all types of messed up. He's had I don't know how many pills, how many conditions. Like we decline here. Finally, we got him approved. Like, thank God, type of deal. It was one of those appointments. So she was really emphasizing the coverage on him because he was sick.
Yeah.
And they're on a fixed income. So she didn't want to get one for her.
Yeah.
But I kept telling her, like, ma'am, okay, if you think $100 a month is a lot for you right now out of your budget, how are you going to pay for a funeral if something were to happen? What are you guys going to do? Do you want to put that on the family? Don't you think it would make sense to maybe sacrifice a little bit and get some coverage? And long story short, she did. She listened. 3 months later, she passed.
Wow.
Not him.
Yeah.
She passed. Just didn't wake up.
Yeah.
And that right there was like, it really reinforced the belief in what we do and why it's so real.
Yeah.
And that made me feel good about, hey man, I'm glad
I would say, how good did you feel? Not obviously, you're not about her passing, but of being able to push to get her to agree to get coverage. Like, that's got to feel really good.
Yeah, it did. And when he called me and we were talking about it, he was thanking me. Like, I thank you, because he didn't say anything. He was just like there.
Yeah.
You know, and he was just going for the ride. But he was like, thank you for talking to her, because there's no way we would have been able to do this. Our kids are struggling themselves, so I don't know how we would have been able to take care of this.
That's awesome, dude. And I mean, it's what we do. It's why, you got to be passionate about helping people to achieve your goals in this business.
Yeah.
And it's not, we're not selling cars. We're not selling Tupperware. And I'm not knocking anyone who does that. But if I don't buy your Tupperware, dude, it's not going to impact my life.
Right.
Maybe it keeps my food more fresh. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe the vacuum cleans the carpet a little better. But we don't have life insurance. Families are screwed for generations.
Right.
Like to your point, if $100 a month is like got you contemplating whether, is that's your deciding fact. I don't know if I can do $100 a month. Well, God, if you don't have this, imagine what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Because funeral's coming.
It is.
They want their money. They don't do it for free.
Yup.
And then you see, it literally messes families up for generations when there's not enough to take care of those, because it comes like unexpected.
Right.
You're planning for it. That this is the day it's going to happen. And no,
right.
It's why we do what we do.
Right.
So, like to end with some fun stuff, Marco. Okay.
All right.
I got a handful of questions, and if you don't like these, you can blame Precious over there. All right. Are you a music guy?
I guess so.
You guess so? All right, I won't do that one. You weren't too confident about that one. Let's do this one. I haven't used this one in a while. If you could time travel to any era, where would you go?
Any era?
Yep, any era.
World War II.
Okay, World War II. If you could be any fictional character, who would it be and why?
Batman.
That's like everyone says that. Is it because I'm wearing the shirt?
No.
It's why?
Because he's a billionaire and he's a superhero.
There you go. If you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
George Washington.
Okay, that's cool. That's a different answer. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming and doing this. Let everybody know who's watching this. You are recruiting, right?
Yeah.
How many families does your team help on a monthly basis right now?
We're doing between 600 to 750.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a good-sized group, helping a lot of families. If you are in the industry, you're not with Family First Life, you're at another company, maybe you're like Marco was a few years ago, and you want to join Marco's agency, where can they find you on social? What's the best platform? What's your handle?
Yeah, on Instagram, it's Marco Trujillo 96. You could reach out to me there. You can see our business pages on my bio too, so you could check us out. And if you think we could help you out, then let's make it happen.
There you go. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming and doing this.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Absolutely. Guys, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe button, like this, share this video with someone that you know would help. Do what like Marco's boy did back in the day. Like, hey, guys, look at Family First Life. You should join them. And then they all came over. So,
Yep.
But we appreciate you guys checking in. We'll be right back here next week on True Talk. We'll see you.